If we empower women with the knowledge and the tools that they need, we can be sure that our natural resources will be more conserved. My name is Dr. Adanna Steinacker, and I am the founder of House of Adanna. House of Adanna is a community-driven brand that focuses on empowering women and fostering their personal growth and holistic well-being. My role in promoting women's empowerment is primarily through my community, through the digital content that we create, workshops, memberships, and retreats. We focus on providing strategies that help women thrive in all aspects of their lives. As a women's empowerment advocate and public speaker, I have also had the privilege of sharing my message across multiple stages, addressing the societal challenges that women face and promoting equity with the hope of creating a more inclusive and empowered future for everyone. My journey in this field of work started from a very young age. I definitely did not think that it will become my career, but as a very young girl, growing up in a society that promoted men's rights and boys' rights over women's rights and girls' rights, I had a problem with that from a very young age, without even understanding anything about feminism or women's empowerment. I just thought simply that it wasn't fair because I was raised in a household with boys as well, and the same expectations were not placed on my sisters and my brothers. And so I did have a problem with that from a very young age, and the older I grew, the more I felt the need to fight for my right in society. And over these years, with the rise of social media and the platform that I do have now, I have had the opportunity of forming a tribe of women who have the same values, who care about equality, who do not want to be perceived as less than because we put in the same amount of work, if not more. And so I have felt that calling from a very young age to advocate for women's empowerment and women's rights in every aspect of society, whether that's personal or professional.
Who are the women that have inspired your life and career?
You know, when I think about the women who have inspired my life and my career, I could mention a few names now in the older years of my life, but unfortunately, there was literally no one when I was growing up. Call it the time that I grew up, which will be very telling about my age, but also the society that I grew up in as well. There simply weren't a lot of women advocating for equality. So I had my personal feeling about the subject matter, but I didn't have any women that I looked up to. And then when I got older, when I moved to the UK, I did have access to women who had the same message, who shared the same values, but they didn't look like me. I felt inspired nonetheless, but I think the biggest inspiration was when I started to see women who looked like me, Black women, African women, fighting for the same rights. So yes, I do have a few women now that I do look up to, but sadly, when I was growing up, I didn't have that. And I'm excited for the times that we live in now because my daughter will see a lot of women that look like her, sharing the same values and advocating for equity and inclusivity.
What is your role in promoting sustainability?
My role in promoting sustainability is again through my platform and my community. It's definitely not a space that I thought that I will be in, but over the years of gaining access into some of the biggest conferences talking about sustainability and climate change. Also, when you look at my background, that's medicine. Genuinely, I never sat in a class where we once talked about sustainability. So it felt very far removed from my work and my mission. And I always thought, well, it's a government-only problem and I have my own personal problems to deal with. But then last year, something profound happened. I was invited to COP27 in Egypt, which is one of the biggest climate change conferences. And I walked into a room and listened to one of the speakers talk about the state of her country. She was a woman who came from Pakistan. She talked about the flooding and she talked about the schools in the community where she comes from having been flooded and all of the kids and their families displaced. And I broke down crying because the biggest connection to sustainability and to climate change for me was motherhood. Really just hearing that children, for no fault of theirs, could no longer have access to schools, no longer have access to education was very heartbreaking for me. Because then I just thought this could be my children. And so I have since then realized that the best way to connect to such an important topic that affects all of us is personal. Really, how can we anchor it to the personal to drive our ambition, to drive our willingness to do better and to do more? And so I have taken the time to ask questions, to do my research, to learn, to be open-minded as to what can I do and how can I start. I started off with the little things, you know, how can I teach my children? That was the biggest thing for me. I might not have been raised to do it right. We have created this mess that we live in now, but people like me, parents, have the opportunity to do better, to raise the next generation of children who care about the environment, who care about their consumption, who are very intentional about their habits and how we can take care of the planet. And so it's the little things for me. I knew that I wasn't gonna get up one day and chuck out all of my clothes. That's being a hypocrite, and that's quite frankly not sustainable, because I am more intentional about my purchasing habits now going forward. I am intentional about the little things and the little things I teach my children, like not taking long hot showers, turning off the light when you leave a room, and recycling. And the best way to teach kids is through books, because we know that children don't do what they're told, they do what they see. I intentionally look for what books can I use to teach my children about taking care of the environment, being more sustainable, because I don't have the right words. I'm a parent, I'm not a trained teacher, and I don't have all of the knowledge in this subject matter. So I started off with the books, and interestingly, my kids really connected to one of the books about recycling. And so I took it upon myself to take them on this recycling adventure, which started off with this storyline of what happens when the bin truck comes to the house and take away our recycling. So we had this very beautiful excursion to the sorting facility where they did learn a lot about recycling.
Veolia is the expert in recycling here in the UK. We are now at one of their biggest recycling facilities, the Southwark Integrated Waste Management Facility. We've been kindly invited for a tour of the facility and the Kids Education Centre so that we can learn exactly what happens to our recycling the moment the bin trucks drive away.
So Veolia indeed is managing about 20% of the recycling in the UK. So we have trucks collecting the waste from people's homes. Then it comes to one of these facilities. So I'll take you through it and you'll see where the magic happens, where we sort between the glass, the plastics, the metal and the fiber, then to be recycled.
Let's see what happens here.
Health and safety is really key to visit these sites.
Perfect, let's do it.
There you are. So that's the refuse collection vehicles. These ones, but you also the big ones. So the big trucks is to take material away. Yes, after sorting, yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's sea ship containers because it goes abroad, but these small ones are the refuse collection vehicles for the municipal ones. That was built in 2012. Here we look after the waste of 2 million people here.
Wow.
So that's 1/4 of London,
Yeah.
pretty much. So we take all the recycling, sort in different fractions, so that's 130,000 tons. So that's the equivalent of, the big trucks we've seen process this amount of material within an hour. So there's the recycling, and then there's I mentioned about the general waste, and not everything is recyclable. Then we send it to an energy recovery facility, which is a half a mile from here, where we produce heat and electricity. Very soon we're going to enter into the recycling site. Next door there is a household waste recycling center.
Okay.
This is where the general public can come.
And drop there.
Exactly, yeah. So
Okay.
by foot or by car.
Yeah.
So usually it's a weekend hobby.
Okay.
So families
Yeah.
come, and it's where you can drop electrical, electronic, books.
Broken hair dryers.
Exactly, textile. So now we're gonna enter into the material recovery facility. Different ways, different way of collection. Not everything can go in the recyclable bin, unfortunately, and you will understand why in a minute. Okay?
Different ways to recycle.
So Kian, I will take you through the process. I will take you through the journey of the recycling. So you'll see where the material is going through and how we sort it. So I'll take you through the process, the logic of the site. But again, the principle is to receive mixed waste and separate into these 4 different fractions: the plastics, the metal, the glass, and the fiber. That's the 4 families of the waste. And it's a mix of mechanical equipment and people. So we have a lot of staff, women, men on the belts, interacting directly with the waste because they have to remove what's not good. And that's why it's very important that people at home put the right thing into the right bin. Otherwise it can be dangerous. Yeah. So here you can see on all these bins is what the general public, what we call wish cycling. So it's when people put in the recyclable bin, hoping it will be recycled. So you can see frying pans, kettles, TVs, microwaves. So this, Kian, is what people put in their recycling bin, but should not be in their recyclable bin. So we can recycle it, but it needs to be brought and separately collected. In the recyclable bin, what we want is plastic bottles, it's paper, it's cardboard, glass bottles, but these items are too big. So when you're at home, the truck is coming to collect your bins, the recyclable bins. The truck is doing all the houses of the streets. Then when the truck is full, it comes to this facility. It's gonna tip the waste on the floor, and there's a big machine, like a big truck, grabbing the waste, put it on conveyors. The conveyor is the belt you can see here, and you will see in a minute, you will see the waste moving, and it's how we will recycle, extract the different items. So, Kian, let me show you the whole process. So you've seen the truck, they drop the material on the floor, then it goes onto the conveyor belt, and after the waste will go to these big machines. These machines is to remove the cardboard. The big pieces of cardboard will stay on top, and all the waste will fall through. Can you see the holes? So the paper, the plastic bottles goes to the next machines, and again the small items, like the glass, will go through, and all the paper will stay on top. So it's called separation of waste.
We got a book on recycling.
You got a book of recycling? So when you're going to read your book, you will understand this is where it happens, in this facility, okay? Makes sense? Thumbs up?
Thumbs up, thumbs up.
You! So the truck is coming to your house, collects your bins, and is doing all the houses of the streets. Then after, at the end of the round, it comes to this facility, which we call the magic sites, and it's going to sort all the waste mixed together into different fractions. So you've seen the paper, the cardboard, the plastic, the metals, and the glass. So that's what's going to happen in this facility. There's 300 conveyors, 300 tons per day. Do you know how much is 300 tons per day? It's equivalent to 40 elephants. It's a lot of material we bring to this facility, and the machines, you've seen the D-screens, you've seen the optical sorter. You remember the magnet?
Yeah. So some goes down.
Yeah.
And some stays up.
Exactly.
But all could have to sort them in little piles.
Exactly. So the magnet will separate the metals from all the rest. And at the end, what happened at the end?
At the end, they put it into tubes and then they squash it and they make new things out of that.
So this explains exactly what's happening here. So Kian, do you understand now what recycling is about?
Yeah.
Do you understand how useful and how important it is?
Yeah.
So it's important for the planet,
Yeah.
for the environment, plastic, glass, metals, all of that needs to be cleaned up and do something new out of it. Then we don't waste resources. So it's good for environment and it's good for the people. High five.
I've found that has made a profound difference in their lives. We walk on the road and my kids are saying, there's a plastic bottle on the floor and this person didn't empty their trash properly. So this is my work in this space, to do what I can, to be open-minded about learning, to realize that I might not get it right, I might never get it right, but at least I'm trying.
So can you explain the link between women's empowerment and sustainability?
The link between women's empowerment and sustainability is very multifaceted. But if we look at it from the perspective of environmental sustainability, women play a crucial role in managing natural resources, especially in developing countries. More women are involved in farming of any size. I actually remember one of my biggest inspiration is Wangari Maathai, who won the Nobel Peace Prize on her work in environmental sustainability. If we're able to empower more women with the knowledge and the tools and the resources that they need, our natural resources will be more conserved. So that's one example. I'm very excited about the sustainability project that I'm currently involved in. And this started last year after I came back from the conference that really touched my soul and influenced me to take sustainability as a topic more seriously. So I sat back to consider, how can I make a difference in this space? And given the work that I've done the last few years in the digital space, on social media, the community that I formed, I thought, well, a year ago, I had no idea that I could contribute to the conversation of sustainability or climate change. And that's not because I'm uneducated or uninterested. It just didn't overlap with anything I was doing in my day-to-day life. And so I did consider that a lot of women in my community would be in the same position. So I pitched the idea of launching a documentary series to YouTube. And I was very delighted when they came back last year to say, yes, we will commission you to do this documentary where I find the intersection between the work I'm already doing and the message that I want to put out there. And so this is the beginning of this series where we are talking about women empowerment, but also with a take on sustainability, speaking to inspiring women in several different spaces and learning from them what their strategy is to live a more sustainable life. The way that I incorporate sustainability into my everyday life has been majorly influenced by me being a parent. So I have to live by example. And like I mentioned earlier, it's the little things like turning off the light, making sure that I'm not going out to buy new things all the time, passing down old clothes from all of my children so that I minimize my purchasing habits, taking public transports. That's something that I'm very intentional about. I wasn't initially, but now I am. We live in an area that's very cycle friendly. So we cycle, the kids cycle to school. My kids went to forest school because I grew up again in nature in Nigeria. We ran around in bare feet, we climbed trees, we ate food that was directly from my grandmother's garden. And so when I moved to Europe, I thought, how can I create the same sort of atmosphere for my children? And the best way that I could do that was to send them to forest school, where they taught them every day about the environment and taking care of the environment. So now that they're in proper schools, they have that foundation that comes with love for the environment and for the planet. And so every day we try our best to do better for the planet. The advice that I would give to somebody who wanted to live more sustainably would be start small, start where you are. Don't feel ashamed of where you're starting from. It's not like turning off a light switch, right? You don't wake up and expect the next day everything about your life is more sustainable. There's a woman in this space that inspires me a lot. Her name is Solitaire Townsend. I have had multiple chats with her about my role in this space. And she said it's much better to have 1,000 bad environmentalists than 3 perfect ones. So going off of that, I would say that the best advice would be to start small, start where you are. It's the little things that count. So you know the way that you always told me, you not care about the legacy that you would leave for your daughter.
Yes.
And I thought, well, I don't mind because I will leave the same legacy for my son.
Yeah.
And obviously I feel so different about that now.
Exactly.
So my question is, what is the legacy that you believe you leave for your daughter as opposed to your son? And is it even different? Cheers.
There you go. So, to your question, what legacy do I believe I will leave for my daughter versus the boys, right? I mean, I would like to think, on the one hand, it would be very similar because obviously the values, you know, that I think I would like to pass on, the view on the world, on people, hopefully, of course, it's the same, right? But I think undeniably, of course, there will be a slight difference, and I think the most obvious one will be around the level of confidence she will need and self-belief and willingness to sort of fight, and obviously I don't mean physically, but you know, more I guess emotionally and everything. I think hopefully we will be instilling this so naturally in her, right? From a young age now, of course, that I hope it's something that will come naturally to her when these situations arise. If that makes sense, right? And I think, I mean, I don't know if you agree, but I think you can see pockets of this already.
Oh my goodness.
I think, you know, having the 2 brothers, you know, I think her feistiness already, her willingness to literally challenge a kid that is like 3 times her age almost, right? Like she clearly already doesn't have that fear or shame in a good way. Which I hope, I guess, that this continues throughout, because we know whether things are changing slowly, but there will still be challenges that she will face that I think the boys might not. So hopefully we can continue that and even strengthen that even further, that it will just be second nature to her to always stand up for herself, always say something when she doesn't agree with something, or, you know, never feeling she has to stay quiet. If that makes sense. So I think and not to say that the boys don't need to do that, but of course, you know, there's an element where any child will have to do this when they grow up, right? But again, the reality of the world is that as a girl, I think you need to have this, unfortunately, a little bit more than as a boy.
And I'm very grateful that you are a great role model, you know. For me, I love that the kids are growing up in a home where equality is the foundation. Like they see you break all the stereotypes that society has about men and what it's like to be, you know, this father figure. You know, and I love that both ways, you know. Except, you know, taking out the trash on a Monday morning. I'm sorry.
That's I have to still do,
No, that you still have to do that. But equality is not always 50-50.
Exactly.
So it's equity more than anything. One person sometimes needs to balance out the other person more.
Exactly. And also I think equality is, I think, very similar to what you said. Equality doesn't mean that you have to be 50-50 in every aspect. It's on balance. Overall in the relationship, you know, that's where the balance should be, and everybody should feel like, you know, they're contributing and they're getting equal amounts. If that makes sense, right? And for some, this could mean in one aspect, you know, others are better in another. And like, for example, if you're better at cooking, it doesn't mean it's fulfilling the cliche of a woman has to cook. But you're freaking better. So like, you know, if I was to cook all the time, the kids would starve and would probably, you know, would not be fed well.
Balanced meal.
So it's not about the cliche of you having to cook. Sometimes it's just a matter of either the physicality, as you said, like I'm physically stronger, so why don't I carry the bags, right? But on balance, then again, but equally I can take the kids to bed. You know, that doesn't require any particular skill in terms of, you know, that makes us different. I can do that easily.
One aspect of our lives that this equity really shows is our finances.
because by virtue of the fact that with every child that we've had, it's affected my career more than yours because of biology, staying at home to breastfeed. It just meant that you moved up the corporate ladder a lot quicker, and then you earned more than me. And I remember one of the times we sat down to tackle our finances, you then proposed that equality here is not about you bringing, you know, £1 and me bringing £1. It's just that at the end of the day, when we've sorted out all of our bills, that we have the exact same amount of money left. Which then meant that you brought more than I did, but we were left with the same. And I thought that was equity at its best and equality at its finest. And I just was like, yes, I married the best one in the world. Wow. Wow.
Very true, yeah.
Very
You
true.
did.
Very true that you married the best in the world. Oh, David, I just love you so much. Cheers, my love.
Let's pretend we know where.
Let's pretend.
What do they always say?
I smell
Red
wine.
Red wine.
That tastes like
red wine.
red wine. Turn around, she pick your dog. She picks your dog together. Come. I'm not going anywhere, Princess. I'm right here with you. Look at me. No, Mom is here. Do you know what you can teach them to Jess? What we say every day. I can do anything. Say, I am smart. I am kind. Beautiful. Fabulous. She literally sleeps with all of this every single night. It started off with this monkey, and now she sleeps with all 7. Yeah, baby.
So, what has been the biggest learning curve about motherhood?
Oh, a lot. I wish someone prepared me, actually. I mean, my idea of motherhood was completely different to the reality, and not in a bad way, just in a way that I wish I was a bit more prepared. Like the sacrifices that you have to make, your life really changes, your friendship circle, your work, everything, your body, I mean, your mental health, everything changes. But it has really taught me a lot about love and compassion and empathy and patience. Oh my goodness. Patience is the word. I have learned to be patient, Lord knows. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. I would trade it for more time though. Like I would have had kids a little bit later maybe, but I'm grateful. It really is the biggest task that one can be given on earth. Really, raising another human that becomes a valuable member of society is a lot of responsibility. I mean, more than just advice. I feel very fortunate that I will live by example and she will see all of those examples. I want her to learn to trust herself, to make decisions that are best for her, that come from a place of her values, to act from a place of purpose. These are some of the tools that I have learned in my adult life. And that's because I don't even think that, you know, my mother or her mother had the tools to learn how to navigate life as a woman who cares about equality. Equality is one of my biggest values, and I want to pass that on to my daughter. Authenticity, integrity, all of those key values, I want to teach her that. So I think it goes beyond just what advice I'll give. I will always be here as a guide, but I want to raise her to trust herself. Huh? Princess, are you gonna check yourself? Oh, I see a cheeky smile coming. Hey, say bye-bye. Say bye, blow a kiss. I would say it's my inspiration for the potential that lies in every woman. I mean, women have this incredible capacity for leadership, empathy, creativity, innovation. But unfortunately, the way that society is structured at the moment, all of these potentials are left untapped. And the more we empower women, the more we tap into this potential and create a better world for everyone. When I come across a woman who is breaking barriers, who has found her voice, who is able to achieve her goals, it just really fuels my determination to keep pushing and to keep working. And when we talk about sustainability as well, we are at a point where we need to act. I mean, the actions we take now determines the future of our planet and how we live on this planet. And I think that if I can use my voice, especially as the founder of a community-driven brand, to create that change in any way, that's what I will do. And so that's my biggest motivation, is the success that I have seen so far in the work that I'm doing, but also the vision that I have when more women come together to fight for the same goal, really. So the advice that I would give to young women who are passionate about making a difference is to believe in yourself, to understand that we all have a unique voice that needs to be heard. We all are put here on earth for different reasons. So if you can believe in your strength and understand that there's nothing too small for you to do, I think that's a starting point. It could be very overwhelming or intimidating for young women starting off to be stuck in the comparison or feel like their work is not making any difference. But I think that believing in yourself is the first step. I think that also links back to finding your purpose and understanding that any work that you do that comes from a place of purpose is more likely to be sustainable, right? Even when you face all the challenges that life will throw at you, when you act from a place of purpose, it builds a different level of resilience. To be a student of the world, to be a life learner, really, ask questions about things you don't know, educate yourselves on things that you're not sure of, but always be very open-minded to learn and to understand different perspectives. And that's how you're able to grow, to prioritize self-care and well-being. And I know that the word self-care has been thrown around very frequently. I don't mean putting a face cream on your face at night before bed, which is important as well, but really to prioritize holistic health, your mental health, your physical health, your emotional well-being, and your relationship with the people around you, making sure that you are building a community of people who share the same goals, who share the same values, people who will be there to support you when you need, because nobody is an island, you know, not even me. I have gone through my fair share of life challenges, and I can tell you that it's the community of people I built around me that were able to hold my hand in such challenging times. You know, one of my favorite quotes is, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step." You know, and that one step takes you further than where you were yesterday. So just keep going. That's my biggest advice.
So what's next for you in your journey? What are your future plans?
A lot. I do have a lot. I don't want to create any spoilers. Let's just say that you would have to stick around to find out. But it will definitely be within the women's empowerment space for sure. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you soon.